If our eyes were sensitive to gamma radiation, and if our atmosphere didn't absorb it, the sky above us would look a lot more interesting than it does today.
Like and subscribe.
Every day, you'd notice bright flashes appearing at random points across the sky and vanishing just as quickly. Some would be so intense they'd briefly outshine everything else in the sky, including the sun. That would take some getting used to. But that's exactly what gamma-ray astronomy has been watching for several decades now. Gamma-ray bursts are the most powerful events ever observed in the universe, and they keep happening. No supernova, no matter how brilliantly it outshines its own galaxy, even comes close. In just a few seconds, a gamma-ray burst releases as much energy as the sun will produce over its entire 10 billion-year lifetime. Scientists have been working hard to explain the source of that energy, but as is so often the case, the questions still outnumber the answers. Long before the first gamma rays of cosmic origin ever reached our detectors, scientists already knew the universe had to be producing them through various processes. The interaction of cosmic rays with interstellar gas, supernova explosions, all of these were expected to generate high-energy photons, including gamma rays. Studying the universe at these wavelengths was considered one of the most promising frontiers of astronomy in the first half of the 20th century. The catch was that gamma-ray astronomy couldn't develop on Earth's surface. Our atmosphere absorbs radiation at these wavelengths completely. So the first extrasolar gamma-ray photons only became accessible to astronomers once the space age began. In the early 1960s, NASA launched Explorer 11 into low Earth orbit, the first gamma-ray telescope, which managed to detect fewer than 100 gamma-ray photons from astronomical sources. But what was actually discovered came as a complete surprise, and it wasn't even found using instruments designed for science. Here's the thing, gamma radiation is also a byproduct of nuclear bomb explosions. So in the late 1960s, the United States launched a series of Vela satellites specifically to detect such bursts. The Americans suspected the Soviets were conducting secret nuclear tests in violation of the treaty both sides had signed banning them. And as it turned out, on July 2, 1967, the first flash did appear, but its signature couldn't be explained by any nuclear weapon. On top of that, more and more Vela satellites kept recording more and more bursts, so a team of scientists at the Los Alamos Research Laboratory was tasked with investigating their origin. The team managed to pinpoint the origin of at least 16 bursts, and none of them had anything to do with Earth or the Sun. After years of careful analysis and verification, a 1973 paper appeared in the Astrophysical Journal titled Observations of Gamma-Ray Bursts of Cosmic Origin. And that's how the era of gamma-ray burst research began, along with hundreds of studies that have been trying to explain them ever since. Early ideas about the origin of these bursts split scientists into two camps: those who believed the bursts came from somewhere within the Milky Way, and those who favored a cosmological explanation, meaning the sources were somewhere out in the deep universe. The debate wasn't settled until 1991, when the Compton Gamma Ray Observatory was launched and revealed that bursts are distributed with perfect uniformity across the entire sky. That was a strong argument against a galactic origin. If they came from our galaxy, they'd almost certainly cluster around the galactic plane, or at least near it. Instead, they appear everywhere, always in a new location. They show up without warning and fade just as fast. Burst durations range from fractions of a second to a few minutes, with a typical burst lasting no more than a few seconds. That's fast even by everyday standards. On cosmic timescales, it's essentially nothing. Some scientists suspected that this rapid time variability meant the sources had to be compact, and that the jets they produce must travel at speeds close to the speed of light. It followed logically that those jets would interact with the surrounding interstellar medium, producing shock waves. That interaction should produce a gamma-ray burst afterglow, radiation at lower energies, including X-ray, ultraviolet, and optical wavelengths, as well as longer ones. If astronomers could observe that afterglow, they'd be able to learn something concrete about the origin of the bursts and their distances. The problem was that beyond knowing these events happened somewhere very far away, it was unclear for a long time just how far. Early searches for afterglow came up empty, You never know where the next burst will appear, and getting any other telescope pointed at that patch of sky quickly enough was genuinely difficult. The satellite that finally succeeded where others had failed was Beposax. In 1997, it detected the gamma-ray burst GRB 970228, and crucially, it carried an X-ray camera in addition to its gamma detectors. For the first time, it was able to capture a fading afterglow that persisted for several days after the initial burst. Ground-based telescopes were then used to image the same region, and a very faint galaxy appeared right where the afterglow had been. Its low luminosity meant it took a few more years before the exact distance to that galaxy could be determined. The real breakthrough, though, came from another burst that the same satellite detected the same year. This time, astronomers were finally able to measure the redshift of the object believed to be the burst's host galaxy. It turned out the light had been traveling toward us for roughly 6 billion years. The burst had taken place in a very distant, very faint galaxy. Given that colossal distance and the burst's apparent brightness, astronomers fully grasped for the first time just what scale of energy they were dealing with. In the brief window of a burst, the luminosity surpasses that of an ordinary supernova by hundreds of times, and the sun by trillions. In fact, the average apparent brightness of a gamma-ray burst is comparable to that of an ordinary star within the Milky Way, with the critical difference that the source is billions of light-years away from Earth. And as noted earlier, a typical gamma-ray burst releases as much energy in a few seconds as the sun produces across its entire 10 billion-year life. That energy is thought to be highly focused, which means we only detect the bursts that happen to be aimed directly at us. On average, astronomers observe about 1 burst per day, but scientists estimate that roughly 500 more explosions go undetected in that same period, their jets pointed elsewhere. What could possibly serve as the source of that energy remains a difficult question. Looking at the light curves of these events, they appear completely different from one another. Like fingerprints, no two gamma-ray bursts seem to be identical. Some light curves look like chaotic spikes in brightness. Others begin with a small precursor flash, followed by a far more powerful burst a few seconds later. Even so, gamma-ray bursts do share at least one characteristic that astronomers use to classify them: duration. So-called long bursts are the more common type and last anywhere from 2 seconds to a few minutes. Short bursts last less than 2 seconds and can disappear literally within milliseconds of appearing. Long bursts are far better studied, accounting for roughly 70% of all known events. Their longer duration also gives astronomers time to slew other telescopes toward the explosion site to search for an afterglow and identify the host galaxy. As a rule, the galaxies found at these locations have been very young, with extremely active star formation, the ideal environment for producing massive stars, which are known to explode with exceptional violence. And indeed, in many cases, astronomers have found supernovae at the same location as a gamma-ray burst, a coincidence that's very hard to call a coincidence. Supernova SN 1998BW, which appeared after a gamma-ray burst, was the first clear signal that these two most extreme explosions in nature might be connected. Still, the energy released during a gamma-ray burst is simply too high for an ordinary supernova to account for. It's equivalent to converting the entire mass of the sun into pure energy in a matter of seconds. Something more powerful is needed, and that candidate is the hypernova. Hypernovae are 100 times brighter than ordinary supernovae, and they're thought to arise from extremely massive stars that spin unusually fast and carry strong magnetic fields. When a star at least 30 times more massive than the Sun exhausts its hydrogen reserves, it can no longer resist its own gravity, and its core collapses into a black hole. With its core gone, the star's outer layers begin falling inward, and the black hole swallows them. But in stars that were spinning especially fast, the infalling material doesn't fall straight in. It spirals around the black hole at tremendous speed, forming an accretion disk in a furious vortex. So right at the heart of a dying star, a black hole with an accretion disk takes shape. The superheated plasma is caught in the grip of magnetic fields, which channel it into jets. Like an electromagnetic cannon, those jets of gas punch through the poles of the collapsing star and blast into space. The narrow tunnel through the star forces the plasma to move in tightly collimated beams, concentrating the energy enormously. If the jets happen to be aimed directly at Earth, we see that energy release as a gamma-ray burst. If the jets point anywhere else, the burst is never detected. This core collapse model of a massive star is currently the most widely accepted explanation for how long-duration gamma-ray bursts are generated. But it only explains the long ones. What drives the short bursts is a considerably harder question. The main reason is that they're over too fast for meaningful follow-up observation, lasting anywhere from a few milliseconds to 2 seconds. Short bursts are typically about 10 times fainter than long ones, yet they emit harder, higher energy gamma radiation, which already points to a different kind of source. Until 2005, no afterglow had ever been detected from a short burst, which is why they were sometimes called dark, events that leave nothing behind. That changed with the launch of what is arguably NASA's most successful gamma-ray observatory, the SWIFT satellite, and one of the most successful space missions overall. Launched in 2004, it has been operating for 19 years. In addition to highly sensitive gamma detectors, SWIFT carries X-ray and optical telescopes that can automatically slew to the position of a new burst within seconds and study its afterglow. SWIFT now works alongside another space gamma-ray telescope, Fermi, launched in 2008. An animation of gamma-ray activity recorded by Fermi over the past year shows most of the purple dots as radiation from blazars, a term for quasars whose jets are pointed directly at us. The yellow spot moving across the sky over the course of the year is the sun. Thanks to these observatories, astronomers were at last able to confirm that at least some short-duration gamma-ray bursts do produce afterglows. They just fade extremely quickly. It also became possible to localize their sources, and some of them turned out to have no connection to regions of active star formation. Some, such as GRB 050509b, actually came from elliptical galaxies where star formation has essentially ceased and the stellar populations are old and too low mass to produce supernovae. That fits neatly with the prevailing scientific view that short bursts are not produced by the deaths of massive stars, but rather by the collision of two neutron stars, or a neutron star with a black hole. Support for this idea came from the Hubble Space Telescope, which detected the signature of a kilonova immediately after SWIFT detected a short gamma-ray burst. A kilonova is a powerful explosion produced by the merger of two neutron stars, or a neutron star with a black hole. The connection between short gamma-ray bursts and neutron star mergers was looking increasingly solid. That connection was confirmed far more decisively by the LIGO Observatory, which specializes in detecting gravitational waves. In 2017, LIGO recorded a gravitational wave signal from the inspiral and merger of two neutron stars, and almost simultaneously, the Fermi Space Telescope detected a short gamma-ray burst from that same region of the sky. The picture that emerges is that neutron star remnants, after collision, orbit the newly formed black hole, and just as in the long burst model, the rapid rotation of matter in the accretion disk powers the energetic jets. It's worth noting, however, that recently two independent groups of astronomers detected signatures of a kilonova following a long-duration burst, which suggests this class of bursts may also sometimes originate from neutron star mergers. In short, this only underscores that the nature of the most powerful explosions in the universe is still not fully understood. Now for the record holder, the brightest gamma-ray burst ever detected. It appeared on October 9, 2022. The event, designated GRB 22100009A, was so intense it was immediately nicknamed the boat, brightest of all time. The burst lasted roughly 7 minutes, and it was so luminous that it simply saturated most of the gamma-ray instruments in space, making it impossible to directly determine its true intensity. American scientists ultimately had to reconstruct the burst's flux from Fermi data. Comparing the boat's emission to that of the previous record holder, which flared in 2013, the difference is staggering. By analyzing this burst and comparing it against thousands of previous ones, scientists concluded that an event of this magnitude occurs roughly once every 10,000 years, making it possibly the most powerful burst in the history of our civilization. The afterglow was, of course, extraordinarily bright, and it was observed by numerous observatories around the world. Astronomers expected to find an associated supernova, but so far none has been found. One possible reason is that the burst occurred very close to the plane of our galaxy, and dust clouds along the line of sight may simply be blocking the supernova's light from reaching us. Astronomers are hoping the James Webb Space Telescope, which can see through dust in the infrared, will be able to find it.
Like and subscribe.
There's another remarkable feature of this event. As the burst's emission traveled through our galaxy, passing through clouds of gas and dust, it scattered, creating a kind of light echo. In X-rays, this shows up as a series of expanding rings centered on the burst's position. The XMM Newton X-ray telescope of the European Space Agency detected roughly 20 such rings, each produced by a distinct cloud of gas and dust along the line of sight. How the X-ray emission scatters depends on the distance to each cloud. The outermost ring in the image originates from a cloud about 13,000 light-years away, while the innermost comes from a cloud at 61,000 light-years on the far side of our galaxy. This was only the 7th gamma-ray burst ever found to produce X-ray rings, and the number of rings was 3 times greater than had been seen in any previous event. Unlike most gamma-ray bursts, which are detected in extremely distant galaxies, this record holder was comparatively nearby, about 2 billion light-years from Earth. That's still an enormous distance, but it raises the question, could something like this happen within our own galaxy? If an event like this occurred relatively close to us, the intense radiation would at minimum strip away Earth's ozone layer. Every problem currently associated with elevated solar ultraviolet exposure would become catastrophic in scale. There is a popular hypothesis that the Ordovician-Silurian extinction event, roughly 450 million years ago, may have been triggered by a nearby gamma-ray burst, but there's no solid evidence supporting it. Most paleontologists attribute that extinction to climate changes or a decline in ocean oxygen levels driven by geological processes. Whether a gamma-ray burst has ever occurred within our own galaxy remains an open question. All known gamma-ray bursts have come from ancient, metal-poor galaxies, and it's not at all clear whether modern, metal-rich galaxies like the Milky Way can even produce such events. And even if one did occur in our galaxy, what's the probability that the jets would be aimed directly at Earth? The scenario of civilization ending gamma-ray bursts, which occasionally circulates online, is, by any rigorous assessment, extremely unlikely.